some of you have some questions. I'm going to ask you to, let's try to keep the questions and the answers as crisp as we can. And toward the end of our time, we're going to stop so that I can introduce Marcia Tilchin to you because she has some things to share with you as well. Who has a question that's burning? Yes, ma'am. Please stand.
I'm Terry Elders. For many years, I was a federal grant reviewer from 2006 to 2011 for the federal RIDE program, Runaway and Homeless Youth Program, where different agencies throughout the nation were applying for grants to work with the children who were couch surfing or who were just absolutely homeless and were still in the school system. One of the things they did was provide an educational contact in every school that got the grant. I heard city, county, faith, and business. Where does education institutions play a part in Orange County in helping solve this problem and being part of the system?
Who would like to respond to that?
There's an organization called Project Hope Alliance. They are in the schools in Costa Mesa. I know that in Newport Beach, where they work with those that are homeless. We also, part of our Atrocious education initiative is we go into the schools, and our ultimate goal is for the bring up the third grade literacy rate, because it's at 53% that are illiterate in Costa Mesa. But we also go in there and we tell them about our homeless initiative. We try to work with the teachers and the parents and the students. So if we find that out, we'll direct them to Project Hope Alliance in those areas. So.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
There is a McKinney-Vento liaison in every school in Orange County, or every district, and so the education, homeless children have an advocate in their school system to get them back in the school where they became homeless, perhaps. So there are a number of resources for kids. Whether they're very coordinated or not probably depends on the district.
Thank you very much. Does anyone else have a question you'd like to ask? Yes, sir.
My name is Bill Postma. I live in Anaheim. I heard about the 2,700 unit plan. And in my experience, a plan has an objective and a schedule. And so maybe Heather could talk to that. Is that published on the web currently, so we can find out what are some of the details?
We went public with our 2,700 plan unit on February 15th of this year, and that was really the hallmark moment for our cities to say, okay, we're going to step in and start citing these projects. So today, roughly 3 months post that public date, we are at roughly approximately 1,500 of the 2,700 units as cited as potential developments. That is not entirely public at this point because of the entitlement processes that those cities will have to go through to actually get those projects cited, entitled, and into construction. As those projects do become more public, yes, you will start to hear about them in your individual communities. But we hold that list a little bit tight right now, and for obvious reasons that if I go forward and say, I have 100 units in Anaheim on, this street, there could be significant community opposition to that at this point. So we're going to keep that pretty close to us right now. But the importance of citing the 2,700 units is we need to get that into a funding and financing plan that, correct, it meets a timeline. And that timeline will be, 12 to 36 months from today, where you will start to see these projects come online.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question for Dan, I guess. I love what you said, Dan, about the system. I think that's just 100%. I'm Catholic. I love what you said about the system. I think that's 100% the way to go. One thing that isn't being addressed, but I know the system has not been fully developed. A large percentage of the homeless are single individuals, and in terms of income, they're below the extremely low income. So even at a minimum wage job, even if they could get full-time, which oftentimes they can't even get that, they're well below that. So the individual housing, things like silver living, shared housing, a room at the Y, boarding houses. I think housing-wise, that's an area that we look at the PS, the permanent supportive housing, but we forget that if you want a pathway to move those individuals who are able to work and, you know, can become able to work, you need to address that housing need at the below extremely low level.
So, if you look at the business plan that's developing around permanent supportive housing, there are various segments. And some of those segments might include families. Another segment could be single people into single room occupancy units. Some of them are specialized by virtue of the services provided for the severely mentally ill. And some of them, quite frankly, are coming about because of unique funding like veterans. So we're trying to make sure that the 2,700 units doesn't end up missing the mark as to who the population is we're here to serve. And there's some very sophisticated people in the nonprofit development sector who build and operate those units, who are guiding that plan and are tying up properties in order to make sure.
I know one of them.
Yeah, she's sitting right in front of you, and Margie's the other one. And we'll make sure that we have it covered. So the homeless shelter I mentioned in Santa Ana is an interesting one, because if, in Heather's case, if she was homeless with a child, there are multiple options in Orange County. But if you're a woman unaccompanied, meaning no child, I think there could be just one. In Wise Place, where the one that I referenced. So part of this business plan is to work backwards, reverse engineer, if I can use a business term. How many do we need? Who's great at it? Are you willing to go meet the need? And how much money do you need in order to go solve the problem? Nobody's ever approached it that way. That's the systems approach. So that's what we're trying to do.
Excellent, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Elizabeth Hendershot with Wise Place, and the answer is, for unaccompanied women in our country, 1 in every 4. 25% are unaccompanied women, and we are the only shelter that specifically serves the unaccompanied women.
And would you say that you're probably, let's say at build out, because we're going to get you to build out.
Yes.
What's your guess? That's about 25% of Orange County's need?
That's a country statistic. I don't know exactly
No, I mean
what
Orange
statistic
County.
is in Orange County. I don't know that answer.
Yeah,
When they did the
think
point in
based
time, I
upon
don't
some
know
of
what
the
that
data,
result was.
it could be only a quarter. So we need to do Wise Place times either 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're building a system rather than building a project, you work backwards from that number.
Right.
Thank you.
Yes, Bob.
My name is Santa Bob, and I don't really have a question, more of a challenge. I would like to challenge the 2,700. You're basing that on a point-in-time count, and that count is probably low. I spent 10 years on the homeless, got counted 1 year. Those counts are low. So if you convince all the cities to take their fair share, they set down a hard number, they're gonna come out short on what is needed. Other than that, I love what you're doing, Heather.
Let me say something to you about that. You're right.
Unfortunately, yes.
But having said that, it's going to be an enormous task, and it's going to take a lot of courage, and there's going to be a lot of grief for people who have the courage and are moving forward to get us to that point. My hope is this: as these projects start coming out of the ground, and we celebrate them, and we publicize them, and the churches start offering on Sunday, look at what just happened in our community. This facility just got built. Isn't this fabulous? Can we go to their grand opening and we start to get community support around these? I don't think that the next 2,000 or 3,000 beyond that is going to be very hard.
So thank you. I think if you go to Jamboree Housing's website and look at the photos of the housing that they have already developed, it will, if you haven't done it before, it will change your mind as to what permanent supportive housing can look like. And it's the kind of thing that I think you're right. Once it starts cropping up more and more, it will gain a certain kind of momentum. So right now we're in that moment where we've got the bar under the wheel trying to get it out of the rut. As soon as it gets out of the rut, I do think it will have the opportunity to start moving more easily.